But the thing that I'm trying to get at right now is that I tried the night before to sleep at 10 because I knew that nekitlo tsoga ka 6. I tried. I had determined it in my mind. Hore ke tlo robala ka 10. Hore ke tlo tsoga ka 6. That's 8 hours. I slept at 1. No, not because nekile stubborn and I was like, I suka ke tla bona situation later. I slept at 1 because my day was still my day. The life that I am living was still the life that I'm living. The work that I'm doing is still the work that I'm doing. The way that I do things, the routine that I'm acclimated to did its thing. And it grooved into 1 a.m. I could not sleep. I had to eat dinner because I'm fasting all the day long, so I can't skip that. And then sleep. And listen, I only slept at 1 and I didn't sleep. I only slept at 1 a.m. in the morning, told myself it's fine, I'll only get 5 hours of sleep, and I didn't sleep. No, not because I chose not to sleep, but because I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I was literally just like here the whole night. Because vele ke robala ka 5 ya teng. Vele ke robala ka 4:30 ya teng. So just when I was starting to get drowsy, that's when the alarm went off. So frankly, it's like I was awake for 24 hours. But despite that, I didn't sleep because my body, my instruments had not adjusted. So there was no sleep that I got. And as a result of not getting enough sleep, I was scattered. My brain was literally scattered. I was struggling with concentration the whole time. But there was also a lot of spiritual attack. However, I was not exhausted. I didn't feel sleepy. I wasn't drowsy. The whole day, go training, I was just scattered. Like my brain, I was not as focused and as sharp as I usually am. Because I mean, like sleep, if you don't get it, you could be a genius, but you will fail the easiest exam you ever studied for, simply because you didn't get rest, right? So I was scattered, but it's okay because it was compensated for by everybody else. Plus, I understood that this is like what I went to was a 10-hour practical training for teaching, and we're gonna talk about what in the world under heaven it is that I've done before. It's nothing that I won't be able to do. I didn't miss much. What I'm getting at is that I am in myself a teacher. I am in myself a trainer. I am in myself a skilled professional in that regard. So that there was just a formality as a part of the course, but frankly, I've done the time, so I'm not gonna miss it. It's not like there's anything that I'll be fine. I just what is important is that I got the certificate that counts as experience, but it doesn't matter because, like I said, I've been a trainer before. What I'm trying to explain to you guys is that in that scattered state, there also was quite a lot of spiritual activity going on that I could sense, that I could pick up. I wasn't withdrawn or distanced. I'm quite the people person. I'm easy to get along with. I'm friendly. I'm fresh with people. I don't qualify as one that is aloof or towards it. No, I'm not the life of the party either. I'm not the liveliest person in the room, but I'm also not the quietest. But I also did let you guys know in some of my other videos that when it comes to people and relating with them, I can chill and sit and talk with them. That like, hey, it was during the time when I was lamenting there are some celebrities that think that maybe I should go and marry a celebrity and so be immersed in that lifestyle, and I was like, I can never be a celebrity or even be with a celebrity. Because I'm an INFJ. I am deep down inside introverted. However, you would never know that I'm an introvert out there because I go out of my way to just get over the fact that I would much rather not talk. I would much rather not engage. I would much rather retreat. I would much rather withdraw. I would much rather not be bothered. I would much rather work alone. I do everything in my power to make sure that I conquer that propensity within me. And so I look like I'm a lively people's person that just adores to be amidst people and to follow them around and have them follow me around. I go out of my way to act like I'm cool with that. And for the larger majority, I am cool with it, but it can't just carry on as like a thing. Like it can't just linger. It can't just linger and linger. Like I can't just be immersed amidst people with whom I'm socially connecting and networking just on a loop. Cause then I would flatten like an exhausted battery. I would all of a sudden, if it doesn't come to an end somewhere, if this year's social interaction does not at some point get nipped in the bud, I will suddenly retreat, recoup, and sit alone in a corner. Because yes, I'm drained. People, it's like they take energy out of me. And if I don't retreat and recuperate, I can never go back again and talk with them. So an 8-hour day at work is okay. And getting a conference that you go to for one day is okay. And then come back home. A little meet and greet for a few hours is okay. And then nobody would ever know. But yes, like do not take me to like like all day long, 4-day long, just perpetual interaction with some other people, like at a team building, I will faint. I will literally faint. And that's why, like this one cousin once asked me for the two of us to live together, as in share a house. I was like, yo, OC, I love your boys and you too, but I can't live with you. I can't live with anyone. I can't live with anyone except my own family, and even then I have to have my own bedroom. When I was a teenager, my mother had this 2-bedroom apartment and she had a newborn baby, and because of that baby, she brought in a live-in helper, and that helper was sharing a bedroom with me. It was the worst time of my life. I could not deal. I don't even know how I got through it. It was not long. After that, we moved to a 3-bed, and so they had their own bedroom, but it was a very exhausting time, and the child would cry and I would be in the bedroom with this child crying at night, and I just listened. I couldn't deal. I was always so mad. I was always so angry. I was always just so upset. And that was the first and last time in my life that I was ever endured through a situation like that. By the grace of God, that never again became an issue. Never even ever shared a bedroom with my sister, nothing. So even when I am living with people, I have got to have a space where I can retreat and be all by myself. The only person that I could share company with all the day long and all the night long without feeling exasperated by them was indeed, ironically, look at that, a boyfriend. It was always my boyfriend, because I guess I was made for partnership, for a union with somebody to whom I'm a helper suitable, but other people would just like literally drain the living daylights out of me. So I am an introvert, but it doesn't show. People would only realize that I am one if they were to like perhaps listen to my content and see just how much of me actually comes out when I'm not dealing with a live audience, but I'm in front of a camera. A lot more comes out because I'm not as cooped to myself and kept to myself. And I'm happy to be with grand candor here in a way that I'm not in front of people, but they would never ever imagine me introverted. Not since I became an adult. When I was a child, I was shy overtly. I was quiet evidently, but later on in corporate, when I was working, I realized that I can't carry on like that because then I would not grow in my career, and I wanted to grow. So I forced myself to get out of that. Listen, it's an effort. I forced myself to get out of that in order for me to be taken seriously as a professional, and it worked. In order for me to get taken seriously as a professional, I had to get out of that, right? So yesterday I was able to be social with everybody over there. Nobody would ever imagine me the shy girl. I was, however, the tall girl, because I'm quite tall. So I stuck out. I made sure I made it a point to wear some heely shoes, so I was even taller. But even if I was on flats, I'd be still taller than everyone, including guys. Type establishment thing. Anyway, whatever. So that was that establishment. But because of the lack of sleep, I was scattered, but I was still able to be social. However, there was a lot going on spiritually. And I'm praying now all the day long in tongues, right? Finally, the whole event comes to an end. It was supposed to end at 7. It started at like 9 in the morning. It ended at 7. But I was there up until like 8:30 because of Q&A, and I stayed all the way up until the end because I'm that girl. I leave when everything is over. I finish what I start. I would never ever leave a meeting early, a team building early. I will always leave when the facilitator is done. It's just the way I am. Anyway, whatever. So I stayed, even though some other people left. So by the time I got home, nearly like 9:30, busigo, type of establishment thing. Fine. I'm thinking it's over. I did not feel drowsy. I did not feel sleepy. I did not feel like I was about to, even though I was angarobal. So I was surprised, and I feel like it was God that gave me that energy. Give me alert, awake. However, I was scattered. My brain was everywhere. It was tabulating. Lots of things was going on. So I was struggling to concentrate on basic things, but it's okay. Everybody else compensated, so it's fine. And there were no assessments or anything of that nature, so I'm glad for that. I'm really grateful for that. But I was scattered. I did the course, I did the training, I was scattered. And all the stuff was happening spiritually. Okay, we exchange whatever, we take each other's WhatsApp numbers, groups, or stay in touch, whatever, because we meet people, etc. That happens, that ends, and then I come home, okay, so maybe it's because I hadn't worn heels in a minute that my feet were killing me. I took off the shoes, and I wore some clappers. I know it wasn't about the heels, baby, because sister can do heels. I can hold mine when it comes to certain shoes. It wasn't the shoes. Plus, it's not like I was standing the whole day. Largely neridutsi, so the heels were not the issue. They were not too. It was like a chunky heel. You know how comfortable they are, and it also had a buckle on the front So it's almost like it's not even a heel at all because it's a very, very stable shoe. No, it wasn't the shoe that I was wearing. It wasn't the shoe. It was not the shoe that I was wearing. I actually want to show you the shoes that I was wearing. It couldn't have been the shoes. Like, I'm gonna go and get those shoes. I'm gonna show you those shoes. I'm full of information, but listen, those shoes are in themselves a little bit of an encyclopedia. One second. Okay, I'm back. And I wish I could just resituate myself in the very position I was sitting before. Because it was nice and comfortable. Now I feel like I've lost my bearings. But these are the shoes that I wore. I'm telling you, it was not the shoe. It was definitely not the shoe. Because as you can see, these are stunning, aren't they? From San Marina. Where's my left and where's my right? Yeah, these were the shoes that I wore. They've got a buckle around my foot over there. So they're quite stable. And the heel is like chunky. The heel is a chunk machine. The heel is a chunk machine. Okay, let's hope that, what do you call this thing? Let us hope that, what do you call this thing? All these stickers that are everywhere are not gonna be all over the streets. So, I mean, this is like obviously a very comfortable shoe. Like, it's not even a heel that's too ridiculous. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a chunk machine. It's a very easy to walk in shoe. It's very easy to train yourself how to walk in heels type shoe. It's a very entry level heel and it's chunky. It's chunky. Yeah, you all know that I got style. Like, listen, these were the shoes that I rocked up in that joint, and no, they did not give me tons of grief. Let me put them down there. The shoes did not give me tons of grief or anything of that nature. They were actually, quite frankly, comfortable. So no, it wasn't the shoes, but I took them off first. If anything, I took them off as soon as I got in the car and I drove without shoes. So the makusha were the shoes. It was cold, so I was wearing some opaque stockings, Izzy navy blue, and like a dress that were anyway, whatever. Listen, I did not take photos. I did not feel the need to of what I was wearing, but listen, I'm very, very, very exceptionally elegant. That's like a whole thing, so you can trust that I'd be looking at you gorgeous all the day long. Yeah, so I looked quite professional, though there was no need for me to be looking professional. I just wanted to look professional. I just wanted to look professional. Yeah, so here it is. That was the outfit that I was rocking. Not outfit, but those were the shoes. Took the shoes off. And yes, like after I took off the shoes, that's when I realized what? Like I was like, what is going on? I was so out of it. I was shaking. I ate lunch. This is not about food in my body. It wasn't because I was drained like some plumbing, because I didn't sleep, because I finally did sleep for a cool 14 hours. And when I woke up, I was still here. The way that I was so out of it, I thoroughly understood that I had to take a shower. And I don't take 2 showers a day. I used to long ago when I would like exasperate myself during the day and I just felt like, oh, I need to wind down. So I would take like a second shower after work, but usually and then like that's it. And now here, because I don't expand much energy during the day, especially ever since I was made sedentary. There was a time when I used to work out, but I've been made sedentary, so I don't even sweat much, you know. I'm always just kind of like, I'm largely sedentary. I want to change that, and I'm grateful that in spite of my sedentary state, sister hasn't gotten fat. Anyway, whatever. So I'm largely sedentary, so I don't sweat it out. I take 1 shower a day, and that shower I take it before I eat dinner. It's within all of my routine. I do wash my face twice a day, however, but to shower my body, that I do once a day. I was like, I thoroughly understood in my person that I have to take a shower, and it's running more high. To like the geyser, we for an hour and a half before gata. And when I got home, my older sister was here, still is, and the first thing she said was, "Mas, worried sick, why haven't you phoned? Why haven't you called?" And I was like, Ezzy, the whole day, I'm like, yo, how in the world are you expecting me to concentrate on 2-3 things at the same time? I went to a training, I was there all the day long, I was bombarded spiritually. I didn't say this to my sister, but I was thinking it. I was annoyed by the way I was like, y'all know, my mom is not here though. I used her car. And at first I checked the water to see if maybe, since the water was lukewarm, I was like, I need a hot shower because I need to whatever is on me right now. I cannot not shower. I thoroughly felt like the way you would imagine that I would just immediately like eat dinner and then sleep, but listen, I couldn't. I understood that whatever is on wash. I felt like I had to wash my body. When I came back from that training, I felt like I had to bath. I had to ugeza, and though being drained, I was willing to wait for amanzi to warm up for an hour and a half. The whole time of which, while I'm waiting here, I was so anxious and I was shaking. Yo, I did not know what was going on with my body, but I felt like I needed to take a shower. That's how dirty this country is. That's how hectic the rituals over here are. Monkey Zwang thing. When I a lot of spiritual activity going on, there's somebody who has got my kind of life, which is feel in the sky and feel it in their toes. Someone like me would just feel it, and and I've been through hell. I'm going through hell. I'm an intercessor. I've got a different life, a strange life, and I'm pursued by bandits. Yeah, my banditi. They're all up in my grill like white on rice. Yeah, so seeing as I am so hotly pursued by one girl, my banditi, I would ball and just feel like hectically. The kind of the climate that I went to, go Southern Sun Hotel in Rose Bay, oh dog. And you know the weird oh God almighty Shem. Months ago I got a dream of a hotel that looked very similar to the one you're in Sunday Southern Sun, and I was like, what's up with that hotel? Like, why keep on anyway? But like, let's not speak about stuff that I dreamt about months ago, lest it's just sounding gatti. I'm making it up so that it can look in gatti. I'm prophetic. Let me just speak about what's happening now. Okay, whatever is going on in that hotel, whatever, and the heaven it is that I was endured through for 10 hours yesterday. Hectic, intense. What let's the ritual dog? And then today. This thing that I'm fighting. Yo, yes, there was this man in the lobby. It looked like he was there with his wife, a black man. Our kids were, when I went to use the bathroom, when I was going, I don't know, listen, one of the lunch breaks, not lunch, but tea breaks, he was looking at me shrouded underneath what looked like a beanie. Shrouded in what looked like he was underneath a beanie, and I just looked, there was so much darkness coming off just and I was like, I'm not trying to look at that man. I don't know what's going on with him. Like the way that you would look at a woman with lust, he was looking at me just like a dog. I decided to, as soon as I saw him looking all that shrouded musofing, more one of the sitting areas in this lobby. Once when I saw him looking at me like that, I was like, yes, then I don't care what's many of these ritualists in hotels, these crazy things the rituals that they can only do because today I'm on training. And they're such hard knock ritualists. They're so haughty. They're stuff that ebazenzayo. That bahona bona bazalwane babang bakotsi. Bahona ubona buhectic. Babazalwane bakotsi. Bahona ubona prayer warriors because they are involved in very hard knock rituals. And there was a man seated in one of the chairs in the lobby later on though, during maybe like at the second lunch break. Aboma 5. Not lunch, but tea. The one before the final stretch, because the thing in felt like a 7. He was just chilling there and he was looking at me and I was like, yes, then I don't care about who you are. I don't care what you're here to do. I don't care that you're trying to make me uncomfortable, or I don't care that you recognize me. No, not because you know me, but because your spirit recognizes who I am. And I want to finish this day and I'm gonna go home and then totally the types of how and I'm gonna go home and frankly just recuperate. Mara, you are the reason why this here South Africa is passing away, it's dying. Men like you are the reason why this here Mzansi of ours is no longer recognizable. Nina in hectic like this, he was with some woman. Could have been a wife, could have been a nyatsi, I don't know. Mara, ona dutsing jefela angshebi leki akipotsora anaro otostera hakana mosadi. Omongona le mosadi omongokeng. Mara ke bona nona le fifi jefela mosfatlong sa hae, and I remember just thinking, this is your perfect place for you to do all these weird things. It's the perfect place for you ritualists to take the Nyati Zalona side piece. Very upmarket hotels, and even then Rosebank, Gingy Southern Sun Eliako Rosebank it was quite larny, but it ain't jack in comparison to many of the hotels in that region, in that area. It's not the most upmarket. It's not exactly the Radisson Blue. So that was a cheaper place. And I remember just thinking, yeah, I guess it just makes sense that God organized the training here for a much cheaper venue. That's where they tend to have their trainings anyway. Because it's the lesser of all of the evils. In comparison to many other of these hotels, it's lesser. Ish, 1 second. I just wanted something to file down my breaking nails. It's lesser. Anyway, whatever. That guy was the weird thing that I saw later on in the day, Gabo 5. In the morning, I guess they're not as littered in the lobby and whatnot, because so by 5 that's when this guy was in the lobby. And whatnot, and I was just like, dude, I just want to go and pee and go back to my chair. If it's a training, on the daily, but busy bang shebile go YouTube. So I don't recognize abuti. Come on, Angel, not so much because you know who I am. I don't know how I recognize angnandaba because mina ngikhathe. Mina ngifuna nje ukuye ekhaya. Ngifuna mina nje ukuye eJardini. Ukuye eJardini. Ngibata ukutlela hayi refetse nje fela training. Ntho o itletseng mona. Ke tla deal wena on the sporting field for boxing ring later. Ke tla deal wena and men like you later. Abuti. So deal now after I recuperate from whatever has drained me like some plumbing. Okay, but right now, I don't care what there's like a shroud of darkness swing back. Bathroom, your toilet, a unisex, a kenyayo. That is there as a result of men like you. Angis bias a kuskelem, however. Upanje fell out to a mon get behind me sat and okasin honi bilaning. Because Rona Bahokanya Habotoko Hakana, Kirona Kilona, Libataba, Larataba, so Kupanje fell Oscar Shabaka. Kaga third eye how. Osgang shabaga third eye how. I'll cheat to a go lobby. The long angi unganzong. Ogang shabaga on a third eye how. Makakupusgang tel lagayon and do what you wanna do, but stay far away. Anyway, whatever. So that whole incident happened, but when I got home, when I got home, I felt like trying to get slapped. Even though nekitabo mezi atlonga hour and a half, over hot enough, especially considering no batamovan. I was like, because there's no way I'm gonna sleep without getting this thing off me. What thing? I don't know. It was a cold day, so it's not like I sweat. It's not like I needed to take a second shower. I could have just left because Nikita pillow sing, but I had to get whatever was on me off my body. When you're sitting at a bus stop, women's a bus and you're tapping your feet on the floor as a way to make yourself warmer. Because the bus stop, I was mon petong ke mejwa. Ne ke tshetse mon petong jwa. Ke metse giza hore e tshise. Ntse ke tlika on videos on YouTube. Ke batla bona what can I look at, what can I watch, what can I what not. Hey banna. That's how much it was not an option for me to not shower. That's how much it was not an option. But now I had to get into it off. Hence why here in Ezekiel 37, I will sprinkle clean water on you and you will be clean. I will be your God, you will be my people. Ezekiel, I will put my spirit in you. I want to read. And I will remove their heart of stone. Okay. I will sprinkle, Ezekiel 36:25. I will sprinkle clean water on you and you shall be clean from all your uncleanness. Sis, and from all your idols I will cleanse you. I will give you a new heart and a new spirit I will put within you. And I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes and be careful to obey my rules. But when I that passage, also in the Levitical laws in the Old Testament, there was so much ceremonial cleansing of stuff, like cleansing of vessels. People so and whatnot were regarded as unclean and had to live outside of the camp until they were better. If they had just like even so much as a small little spot or whatever. Botlapa was a thing. After women had their period, they had to do ceremonial, during their period they were considered ceremonially unclean until they did, again, another bathing ritual to make them clean. You would think that these things come when they mean nothing, but they were there were laws handed down to Israel by the God of the universe. So my urgings, my yearnings, and my desires that were so haughty to a point of disquieting myself, hot water bottle, nothing, because I was waiting for Metsi Ashawa or the way in Jeffela, I felt like I was outside of the Israeli camp and I was ceremonially unclean. It was tantamount of that. It was tantamount of feeling like I was ceremonially unclean by simply being in that environment, by simply being God dealing it. It was not about the delegates, the people with whom I was in training. No, it was not about any of them. They were precious. They were awesome people. It was that hotel. And after getting out of that hotel, when I got home finally, I thoroughly felt ceremonially unclean. And even though I was bushed like a jungle, like a forest, like the Amazon, I couldn't sleep until I took a shower because something felt unclean. Ingati, that hotel came off on Umzimbawa. Under normal circumstances, I would not have insisted on taking that shower, but I had to. Kinse ke tepa mo mpetong ke khatsetse ke sa etse le water bottle kinse ke tlika mo di video mo YouTube until hour and a half ya feta. Amen. Metsi a qena a tshisa a boiler a whistle ngare ke mo flati. The water was aja boiling like a whistle. You know how a kettle whistles when it boils? The water finally got to a boil ya giza. At which point I then before ke kena go showering I took chicken that my mom had bought and sprinkled it on rice. Yeah, during the week, like Riviana, I didn't care what I ate as long as I ate because I did not know how to diagnose how I was feeling. Was it because I was malnourished? It couldn't be because I ate lunch and now I was about to eat dinner. Was it because I didn't sleep I figured that maybe it's because I didn't sleep the night before. I couldn't sleep because it interrupted my regular schedule. So maybe it was because I didn't sleep. But I would later come to conclude that it wasn't because I didn't sleep, because I finally slept 14 whole hours. I still woke up feeling some kind of way. Anyway, I had to eradicate variables to figure out why am I feeling like this. So eating was not it. Sleep, it would later get confirmed, was not it. I took a shower. First got soladijo, so put more nutrients in my body. Got soladijo and then got shower. Got soladijo, got shower. And after taking a shower, did I feel better? Listen, I can't say yes or no. All I know is that I felt like I had to bath. I had to wash whatever I needed to wash off my body. I needed to give myself a good scrubbing. And I did just that. Fine, that was over. Come to the side. Gadijo. I ate the food while I was watching Elijah. A movie Elijah. I can't get enough of Elijah's story, so I can watch it over and over again from different channels stuck with YouTube. So I was watching an Elijah movie and I was able to concentrate somewhat. When I was watching movie Elijah, Elijah, I was so mournful. I was so mournful. I was able to concentrate, and that also tells me that how scattered I was during the day for the training was also not as a result of me being not sleeping. It was not because of not being able to sleep. I would have been able to concentrate if whatever was going on in that hotel was not a thing. I would have been able to be a lot more focused and involved. Listen, I don't think anybody would have picked up that I was not myself for that training, because nobody knew me. I looked like I was pretty engaged and involved, but somebody that knew me well would be like, what's up? Like, why are you so scared? Like, this is not, like, it's not like you to be this high level with stuff. You tend to be a lot more on the ball, sharp, on your feet. Fine. But nobody there knew me, so I guess they figured that's just how I am. But I knew that I wasn't scattered the way that I was scattered in terms of my mind and being able to focus and just kind of, look ahead. I wasn't as scattered as I was. Later on, when I came here after taking a shower and I watched movie Elijah, because when I watched movie Elijah, I was able to pay 100% attention, though azankarobala, enough to postoring the widow at Zarephath in particular, where Elijah, the flower never ran out and he healed the boy from death. Well, not healed, but he raised that widow's son back to life again. Here, I bawled. Like, I was crying. Because I was like, what made me cry when I was watching stories of Elijah was that he lives. That God that brought that boy from the dead, uyapila. That God that renewed the flower of that woman and the oil, uyapila. And when I was looking at the weathered face of the AI Elijah, there at the brook Cherith, is it? And as he's also kind of making his way to the widow at Zarephath, I was like, this is life. Though Elijah was a man going through hell on earth during that time, he nonetheless was so uniquely catered to by God. Look at the brook out here be a source of water during a drought, and look at the ravens feed him twice a day. Birds. I mean, listen, this is an awesome story to see that even when you are drained by affliction and the world is wicked, when you are a servant of God, you are catered to through and through, no matter what. And it caused me to be super emotional, but the emotion became especially poignant when the widow at Zarephath section of Elijah's story came, where the woman was poor and she was facing pretty much the end of herself until a prophet came and spoke to her. And because she walked in obedience, she did not have to die from a drought. Her son was brought back from death. So much was a blessing, and it caused me to boil, and it caused me to wear just a very deep nostalgia for not biblical Christians, but saints. It gave me a nostalgia where that people are just like hanging out uniquely with God, chilling with the Lord, aware that He's there. And though they're in solitude, though they're in isolation, they nonetheless comprehend fully that He's there. And so hard as their life may be, they get that He's there. And that's what really just caused me to be like, I am alone, but He is here. And it made me bawl. I was like, just like Elijah, I am weathered, at least in my heart. I am chilling at a brook, being fed by ravens twice a day. I am experiencing a miracle with the woman's flour not running out and the woman's oil not running out. I experience personal miracles, but I'm living in a world that has no regard for my God. I'm living in a world that has no care for the fact that He lives. I'm living in a world that is nonchalant, that is blasé, that is apathetic, that is la-di-da, that is cavalier about my God. I am living in a world that does not understand how much danger it all is in. I'm living in a world where every last one of those delegates at that training have no idea the level of spiritual war they are enduring every single day when they wake up in the South Africa. They don't know. When I came to learn later on in the day, after that bathroom break that I took, 20 minutes, where I saw the guy with the shrouded face in the lobby. When I came back, no, it wasn't. No, that was during lunch, rather. During lunch, when I was eating the ladies with, well, the group of people with whom, because there was also like one guy that I was sitting with Reja lunch. We then spoke about pretty much the issues in this country, South Africa, and there are quite a lot of them. And I came to discover, this is not a discovery. These here are prophecies that are true, but because you receive the understanding of what's going on the ground in prophecy and not so much have a real day-to-day interaction with them, you sometimes undermine or underestimate the veracity of the fact that this is actually happening in the country. You know how you feel like you're alone until you discover that there are 7,000 others that have not bowed down to Baal. 7,000. When I was having lunch, I had a discussion with certain ladies, and I came to discover that some were Christian. And this here discussion about God started out as a result of speaking first about the country and then laments about stuff going on in churches. People like bomboro, making people eat grass and whatnot. And then I came to learn in particular there was this one colored chick who listens to the exact same podcast, not podcast, but Christians that I listen to. Okay, why in the world am I not able to see where my mouse is at? Okay, whatever. Computer, do what you want to do. Oh, there it is. She listens to the same people that I listen to, like Paul Washer, Vadi Bakum, etc. And I was like, whoa, look at that. And guess what? She also has no church. She fellowships with a few of her family members every Sunday because, just like me, went from pillar to post to pillar to post to pillar to post to pillar to post, unable to find a church home to rest in, until she and her believing family members decided that, yeah, it's not right for us to neglect the assembling with the saints, but we can't just attend any random crazy church, because how many times are we going to just try and find a random crazy church? So every Sunday they come together and they fellowship and they go through the Bible, they study the Bible, and essentially it's like the early church. And I remember once upon a time listening to Tom Hughes saying that in the last days, churches, I believe, are going to go back to houses. Because look at these mega churches all over these streets. Look at all these churches out here producing all these crazy charlatans. And I came to discover that there are 7,000 others that have not bowed down to Baal. I was like, oh, look at that. I also wanted to find fellowship with a church, and I was going to look for a church as soon as I found a proper job so that I could have resources to just travel around all over Johannesburg to find a church home. I want to do that. I imagine that I would find one. But here it is, I meet a woman in training that ungadile. I mean, she's a young woman. She looks like she could have been maybe 24, 5. She fellowships with her family, and now she's blessed in the sense that she's got family members that love God. I don't. But she's not the first person of this nature that I met. Years ago when I was entered into the sorrow, there's this one white man that also congregated with 2 or 3 people every Sunday and every Wednesday for Bible study because they could not go to churches. They could not go to churches. They wanted to honor God's word, so they did fellowship with each other, but it was a small little cocoon that they gathered with one another in. And I don't have that cocoon. I don't have that cocoon, do you understand? But I know I need it. I want one. But just the fact that we, in a country that calls itself Christian, have people that are in cocoons, it speaks volumes about the spiritual state of the nation. It speaks volumes about the spiritual state of the nation. And I was like, look at that, I'm not alone. And then everybody else that was not listening to the same teachers and preachers that we listen to, sound men, essentially. The one chick was like, listen, I'm sick and tired of going to churches and I just hear all this fluff and it's just landing on my spirit like it ain't jack. And so as a result, I barely ever go to Isonto. I've walked, I don't know how many, I can't count on my 10 fingers and toes how many churches I've gone into and ended up walking out because there was just so much nonsense preached at the pulpit. And she asked for numbers. She asked for names. Sorry, when we were talking about the teachers that we listen to on the internet, she was like, give me the names of these teachers so I can go and look for them that I might study. And as I'm busy talking, as the one colored chick, when she was talking, she was like, some of the best resources in terms of training and instruction in God are on the internet. And I was like, yeah, listen, I agree. Because you know how I told you guys that most of my training and instruction came from the United States of America. The two of us ended up having a house on fire conversation about how it is that if at all we were living in the US, we'd probably have a church home. But we're not in the US, we're in South Africa. It speaks volumes. And she was like, if I was living in the US, I would personally choose Times Square Church for my own personal church. And I was like, listen, get out of town, because I also would choose Times Square Church, because Times Square Church is sound doctrinally, and it does not write off the gifts of the Holy Spirit. It's the perfect church. But where is that in South Africa, where you're gonna get sound doctrine right next to the honoring, of the gifts of the Holy Spirit? We ended up talking even about Nikki Cruz the biography of David Wilkerson, and that was the only time where I felt like I could really concentrate over there. But when it came to everything else that we were doing over there, I struggled with, like I said, that scattered brain, the scatterbrainedness that I was in, which is not something that I necessarily ever struggled with. I'm able to concentrate. I don't have attention issues. I don't have issues with attention span or anything. So if I am scattered, understand it is spiritual. And I was scattered, except for the one time when I was talking about the things of God, which evidenced that whatever it is that was causing me to be scattered could not handle that climate of fellowship during lunch break. That happened. Listen, go training, go lunch, and it just spoke volumes. Everybody there, I feel like I'm jumping the gun. I'm finally gonna eventually talk about the things that I picked up over there that are the reason why I trust that I'm leaving the country, and how it was just providentially ordered that I would be in that particular class of students, and with this particular here issue that I came back home with, carrying like a heavy load because of the spiritual climate of the hotel, and how it is that God, I told you that God is gathering a remnant to put them in the diaspora. Abantu bakhe that want to leave, He is letting them leave. Those that feel a call to get out, we have a cease. No, man, you know, I'm busy talking right now how it is that God loves you before you love Him. He loves you before you love Him. There was one confirmed Christian in that training that I can in myself say that's definitely a child of God. The one colored girl. The others, I feel like they want God, but they have yet to find Him properly. They don't have a solid relationship, but they know there's something missing. Even though they might have a profession of faith on their tongue. There might have been other Christians there, but I never got to talk with enough people to understand their relationship with God. But there's definitely one lady there that I feel like she's my sister, right? The one at church fellowship li family high. Everybody else I did not quite get pretty much what their standing is when it comes to faith. The facilitator herself mentioned that she thanks the Lord that umufile a certain kind of opportunity, the Lord is there with her. So she spoke quite a bit about the Lord, though she was not necessarily preaching. So I can't really say that she's also a daughter of God. She might be type establishment thing. But everybody, no, not everybody, almost everybody in that class, out of all of us that were there, and there were like maybe like 25 of us students with the one facilitator, almost everybody there wants to leave South Africa. The only person that I asked, what are your plans, that did not want to go out of South Africa is this one white chick, the one who bathroom that was like, oh, this bathroom is beautiful. And she said that she doesn't want to leave the country because she's got a daughter. She's like, I can't leave because I've got a daughter, right? So I can't leave. I've got a daughter. And so because of but everybody else, including this one black man, is like, I gotta leave the country. I gotta leave South Africa. Like in that class, that place where I went to for that training, I know Shem, dear darlings, it just spoke volumes to what in the world under heaven. What I'm going through, I'm not going through it alone. And I've been speaking in my content for a minute. And time and time again, I've been saying it. Inkatazo is coming to South Africa. And God is moving His precious souls out. God is moving Banabahai that want to go. He's gonna help them leave. And even those that are not His children, but they're in angst. They're not His children yet. Because here in South Africa, what in the world is happening up there? Oh goodness, you know, I just let go of those captions later, because now I will just do that tomorrow. Like, just leave it alone. I'll be delayed. Listen, it's okay, I'll be delayed. Anyway, well, actually I am, but I don't understand. Anyway, whatever. You know, when you try to multitask and like nothing works, nothing is giving. I literally cannot understand like what have I been doing this whole time. Just leave it alone. I'll dedicate all of tomorrow to all that. Like I'll have to dedicate all of tomorrow to all that, because Kimo, it just does not want to do anything that makes any kind of feasible sense. Edit, undo, whatever. I will deal with that tomorrow, like proper. There's no rush. Almost everybody wanted to leave, and what I'm trying to get at right now is that there is something happening in this country, and I have already said it, and God gave me confirmation of the things that I've been speaking at the top of my mind, releasing them like a vapor. He has been showing me these things that have been coming out like a vapor. I got confirmation that I'm not alone. This here is literally general. It is not isolated like with just me. It is the country, and it is losing some of its best people, and a lot of the people there were Gen Zs, some of them were millennials, others Gen Xs, and they are tired. And I told you, this country, the Gen Zs are going to revolt. They're going to revolt. Remember, I lamented that South Africa is this weird country where people get degrees, accounting, finance, LLB, degree, name it. After that, they sit at home for a cool 2 years, 3 years, until they end up working in a call center or navigating cars out of a parking lot with a degree from a higher learning institution. How are newly graduated female black accounting graduates not able to get a job 3 years after graduation? When I was in high school, the way that BCom graduates, especially females, was so sought after. They thoroughly traveled to our high schools and encouraged us to apply for BComs at varsity and study that because it's high paying and there is a lot of demand for that skill. Look at 2026, we be out here getting accounting graduates chilling at a TEFL course to teach English abroad because they could not get an internship into an accounting firm. Are they not able to get graduates? South Africa is presently lamenting about a skills shortage across the board. South Africa is also presently lamenting about the skills exodus out of the country. And yet, I met BCom accounting graduates yesterday that ever since they got their BComs haven't been able to work, and that's why they're doing a TEFL certificate so they can go overseas and teach. Listen, English, but you studied accounting. English. Anything to get a job, because a girl gotta start working at some point. After matric, a girl gotta start working at some point after graduating, and I was like, this is the problem in South Africa. And I'm talking how it's not like she lacks eloquence. It's not like she can't hold her own in an interview. And one of the things that this one girl on our accounting graduate said was that cousin Yakake lied on her CV in order for her to get the opportunity. Her cousin is in South Korea. Her cousin is in South Korea. And I experience, and that's how she ended up working in South Korea as a teacher. And she's been there for 3 years. This course, just like her cousin I go South Korea. And Hana experience at all. Graduating from her BCom accounting. So therefore, just like her cousin, she's gonna lie on her CV. And I remember just being like, listen, these kinds of things catch up with you later. Wamaga now. And when you're comfortable 10 years down the line, don't lie. Do not lie. Just trust something is gonna finally give. Just try. Conversations as at that moment. Because we were having a discussion in professional. But I tried. Counselor. And I look what 23. 24 so that has got experience. Somebody that is naive. If you don't lie on your CV, girl, you're not gonna get anywhere. If you don't lie on your CV, you're not gonna get. Listen, I was tempted to lie on my CV all these years that I've been unemployed, and then I've got experience, I've got skills, and yet I have not had a job for how many years? I didn't lie because of my faith with my faith to the Lord, because of my conviction spiritually, because of what it is that I believe in. Azanga Bwamaka. The temptation once did come in my bones when it got too hectic. So now when you're gonna make South Africans lie on their CV, stuff that could out here 10 years down the line, cost them their entire careers when that lie gets found wanting, when that lie gets discovered. Build the experience. Since in the industry, everything because that lie gets found out. I remember just telling her, don't do that, because lies eventually come back to bite you. Do not lie. Oscar Bwamak. That point. She got to a point where she was like, she's gonna lie just so she can go and work in South Korea. Yo. Just the dynamics in that room. Just the dynamics in that room. I was like, get to the point of, before I expand further on what in the world under heaven it is that happened, before I expand further, on what it is under heaven that happened, go causing it. I want to highlight this very thing. I give it so you can understand the spiritual climate or I got home and I showered. I mourned when I was watching Stories of Elijah, because I felt like, oh my goodness, like, you are here though nobody cares. I slept as soon as I was done with dinner. I couldn't even finish drinking my juice. I was so bushed, and I was knocked out like a light immediately. It made sense that I would get knocked out like a light because I didn't sleep the night before, right? I was knocked out like a light immediately. After 5 hours, and then I went right back to bed again. And then I was knocked out again. By the time I officially opened my eyes and felt like, okay, I can't carry on sleeping, it was 12:30 in the afternoon. The first time I knocked out like a light was around 11 at night. I got home, 9, hour and a half. And then I ate over about half an hour. And then as soon as my dinner was off my plate, and I had food in my body, because I needed to isolate the variable that made me feel the way that I felt. Is it because I'm tired? Is it because I didn't eat? So I had to get food in my body. I washed my body. So I washed whatever spiritual gunk was on me. That was out the way. The food issue was out the way. Nutrients were in my bones. Why was I feeling like this? I don't know. I sleep, wake up 5 hours later, around 4:30 in the morning, and I'm like, oh, what am I feeling like? And then I go back to sleep, and I wake up at 12. Papa Maga past 12. And the just bombardment of just these horrible nightmares is all up in my grill, but that's just the common theme of my life, so that's nothing new. It does not have power on its own, that dream space, to make me feel like death warmed up at that height, to make me shake. I might get bombarded by demonic attacks and just a lot of spiritual activity going on in the atmosphere. True story indeed. That's a whole thing that can happen. But one thing that is certain is that in spite of just the excruciating bombardment, I never ever shake. I never ever feel like a sense of wooziness and just and walking around all day. I've got like a disease or something that's eating at me. And so